guess I'll do a bit of a running commentary while I watch. Yeah, if you don't have the right runes, you can still do Phoenix udyr, but you're going to want to not run 2190. If you're going to run Phoenix udyr, the best masters are run 0219. And if you want to go Tiger, that's when you go 2190. You should also be careful. It's not best to always just sit in the bush like right off the bat. Go like scout out your jungle. So for instance, you would sit where the Vayne is or in the tri-bush. Just sit there, keep an eye out, make sure they're not invading you. That's always something to watch out for. Okay, well one thing I would do if I was you in this situation, because you know he's a dub jungle, he's not going to invade you with second buff. Like you're doing here, you farm the little camps. Honestly thought you'd go buff to buff, but if they're playing an aggressive jungler, you go from one buff to the other. Also, Phoenix Tiger is not a great start. Personally, you can do it, but it provides you with not enough sustain. You're going to take way more damage in jungle, and it's just not as efficient, and you'll be burning more mana. Like personally, I would do the wolves and then my buff. So for instance, level 2, I'd get turtle, and then if I do the wraith and the wolves, I'll be level 3 for 2 points Phoenix. So I know I'm not going to go for that level 4. I'm going to go for the level not going to level 3 ganks. I'm going to go for a level 4 path. So therefore, I kill blue, and then I go back round, and I'd go down and kill wraith because they'll be respawning by the time I get there, and kill them at level 4. So you'd have 2 points Phoenix, 1 point turtle, and 1 point bear. And by doing the Phoenix turtle thing, I can use maybe 1-2 health pots in jungle and be full health when I leave, because when I'm watching you right now, your health is incredibly low for an udyr jungle, considering you've burnt through 3 health pots. So Phoenix Tiger can be a lot more damage if you plan to like maybe invade, but I personally, if I'm going to invade, I'm going to go straight Tiger, and I'll decide if I want to do my invading at the start of the game. But just something to note. And you're choosing the right gank path, running around that way. I mean, this support's not there, so considering you're at half health, I would consider it incredibly risky against a kill lane like Jinx Leona to try gank that. Like, I understand you want to put off some pressure, but you're more likely to die. And you make a fatal mistake right here. You're fighting in about 8 minions, and minions hurt. So not only are you fighting 2 people, you're fighting tons of minions, which deal more damage than the people. And like I said, it was a silly idea because there's only one person in the lane, and clearly you both just died. So it's always something to watch out for. Never fight in minion waves, especially early game. You will die. There's no point ganking a kill lane like Jinx Leona when the support's not even there. Like, even if it was the support there, I still wouldn't go bot lane. It's not worth it. Like, your chance of success is low. You know, they can easily probably turn it just because they have so much more early damage in CC. Personally, I would have looked for top, try to get your Nasus snowballing or mid. I mean, Orianna's a really good candidate to gank mid because she has no escape. So like, she has a flash and a speed up, but if you go mid and your Cho'Gath hits a rupture and a silence, she's pretty much guaranteed to die or blow flash. Even if he doesn't, if you can get behind her with a bear, that's a free rupture for him because you'll have her stunned. And then if you blow her flash, you wait till she comes back and you gank her again. And without her flash, Orianna's incredibly vulnerable mid, especially against the CC of a Cho'Gath udyr. So that's what I would have done in that situation instead of going bot and, well, dying. Because now bot's even more fucked. But I mean, it's always harder when you don't have a person in the game. But you've always got to think, you got to think every action through, or you're going to make silly plays. Like again, I see you running down bot, and I get why you want to, but it's not going to work out. You're best to just ignore it. Like, if you're going to help bot, you wait till the minion wave backs up at the turret, and you sit at the turret, and you just use your physical presence to allow your AD carry to farm, and you soak a bit of XP, but your team will generate more XP with 2 people in the lane than 1, because you get more XP, you get bonus XP with 2 people, but it's less XP each, but it's overall not bad to just sit there and allow her to farm. That means, you know, soaking a bit of XP in a 2v1. So fuck? I have the wrong key. Oh, whoops, wrong key. Like, I'm looking at you now, you don't have a point in turtle level 5. I mean, the one thing that makes Phoenix Udyr such a great jungler is that he's just so innate tanky because you have that turtle. And you just so much more vulnerable without it. Like, sure, you have a little bit more damage, but it's just not worth it. It really isn't. And like when you came up top there, you saw how Garen ran away straight away as you came up through the river. Like I'll rewind it a little bit here. Okay, I'll go back a bit further. Stupid thing. Okay, so you're coming up and you're watching top, and as you're coming up through river, you see the Garen suddenly just start running away. Just randomly starts running away, and then he ghosts. You see his ghost. So that means he knows you've come up through river. He can see you in river. That means you know that this ward here is here. Even though you can't see it, you know there's a ward in this general area because he's run away as you've come up. So what you just did then and coming right back around does nothing because he knows you're still there. So if you see that, if you want to get top lane, you need to run up through the jungle over here. Oh fuck, I have a mouse disabled, I'm frapped. Oh well. You would run up through there like jungle, red side jungle, and go around through the trigrass and behind him. It's always good to ask your team also if you see them place any wards, and also look at people's starting items. Like if you see Garen start a rejuve bead, you know he's going to start a ward. If he start Doran's shield, you know he has no ward. So looking at what lanes start can tell you, do they have a ward, yes or no. And if they have a ward, you can usually guess where they're going to place it, or you can ask your team if they saw where they placed it. But I'm still like a little bit surprised that you haven't been ganking mid. One thing that you should always be looking for is the lanes of the best chance, and like I was stating earlier, Cho'Gath has heaps of crowd control, so you should always gank mid. And then right now you've left open your red buff. You haven't cleared it. Like you left a little minion. I'm not sure what's up with that. You basically just don't know when it's going to respawn. And then you flashed. If we go back, just I was a bit distracted. We watched that again. So you're in the bush. Coming up, we'll just go here. So you look, you see Oriana's extended, and she's killed your Cho'Gath. So you come up behind her. Alright, so you start running out with your bear on, and you flash straight away. What you should have done is just keep running at her, because you would have closed the gap pretty quickly, but the way that you flashed, let her flash away and gain more distance than you gained towards her, because you flashed into the lane and she flashed backwards from the lane. So if you would just keep running at her, and waited till you were closer, and then wait for her flash, and time yours right away, you would have been able to close the gap and potentially kill her. We'll just skip to live. Hope I didn't miss anything. And then you've now noticed you've left open a little one. How the fuck do you have a blue buff? Did you not clear your blue either? Because that's just fucking retarded if you don't clear your buffs. Like, even when you invade, you should always clear your opponent's buffs as well, so you know when they respawn, and they spawn quicker. So, like, if I invade and I kill your littles, I can time when your next buff will be up, and go and invade it again if I'm ahead. Now, if you're looking at Oriana's inventory, you would have noticed she had bought a ward, and she just wound down to that grass, which would mean you'd be sitting in a ward, which through spectator mode I can tell. But you always got to watch out. Like when people go B and buy, you got to check for wards, or have they placed wards. You know, you got to look for that sort of stuff. Otherwise, it's just going to be And here you're being attacked by Dub Dub, and you take forever to respond. And you're already in bear stance, and you switch to bear, but he's fighting you. You don't need to switch to bear stance because the only benefit you're going to gain is speed. You should have straight away switched to Phoenix or whatnot. And that's another issue with running. Points in Tiger is you started to use Tiger when you do way more damage popping out Phoenix because it's rank 4 to rank 1. So I would have opened in that situation. I've run at him, stun him with my bear, insta pop Phoenix, get that, like, you got the AoE going, and then you get your first activation, and you pop Tiger, then Tiger Phoenix switch, if you're going for maximum damage with the Tiger Phoenix path. But starting Bear when you already had Bear out when someone's fighting you defeats the purpose of activating Bear. So it's a gap closer, and if you don't have it on, anyway. And like before, you're really still not going to have an impact on that lane because you're just under-leveled. I mean, you're not under-leveled in the grand scheme of the game, but considering their bot lane is level 8 and level 7, and you're only level 8, you're quite low level if you want to go in for a 2v2 there, just because the Vayne is just so far behind. I mean, what the fuck? She rushed a Phantom Dancer with Jinx. Anyway, it just still wouldn't go well. You really can't help bot lane this game unless you got to head somewhere else first. And like before, you should have realised that was warded, but that would have just been if you'd noticed what Oriana had been doing earlier before you walked up. But one thing to know in that situation is when you were running, you switched to a damage stance when you were getting jumped on. My first thing, I would have bared, then turtle, bared, turtle, bared, turtle, and you'd be in a lot better place. But since if I look at you now, you got 2 points Tiger, 1 point turtle. If I'd been playing, I'd have 3 turtle and no Tiger, which would mean I'd have a much larger shield and the chance of me dying there would be quite low. Also, I run tankier not tankier runes, but tankier masteries because Phoenix Udyr doesn't really need offensive stats due to the way it's magic damage. It's not really like the first few levels he has burst, but his strength comes from his speed clearing and becoming incredibly tanky. So, anyway, since Cho'Gath's now AFK, I'm going to just stop the little recording.